Today on Street Talk, my guest is a 78-year-old man who is the lone cardinal of the Central African sub-region. His Eminence Christian Cardinal Tumi, the Archbishop of the Diocese of Douala, who is popularly known for his sassy truth and having an exemplary character. Your Eminence, it's a pleasure to have you on my program Street Talk.
Thank you very much.
Your Eminence, it's about 7 months that the Pope Benedict XVI visited Africa for the first time, with Cameroon being his primary destination of this very significant tour, which saw the handing of the Instrumentum Laboris. How is the Catholic Church in Cameroon faring after the Pope's visit?
I would say, as one of the bishops of the Catholic Church that is in Cameroon, that the Catholic Church in Cameroon is not doing badly. There are difficulties of every kind, difficulties of administration, pastoral difficulties that you will find anywhere. But I think on the whole, the priests, the bishops, and the people of God, the lay people of God, are doing their best to be proud of their church.
What happened to have changed after you visited Cameroon?
Well, not particularly. Nothing can be changed immediately after the visit of the Pope. And quite a number of changes are spiritual, changes that we cannot see. Quite a number of faithful were very happy to have had the occasion to meet this man of God, to meet the head of the Catholic Church, to listen to him. And you cannot listen to the gospel message without something happening in you. So I think quite a number of what happened is internal, is spiritual. So it's not easy to quantify it. Nothing material, nothing visible can be seen. So I don't think that there's much after the Holy Father's visit that can be visibly seen as a change.
You know, receiving more than 120 bishops and the Pope's delegation must have been quite a huge investment for the Catholic Church, isn't it?
Well, first of all, there were not many bishops that came from Rome. The majority of bishops came from Africa and Madagascar. And it's quite an investment, but it's not the Holy See that paid for their journeys. Every conference paid for the journey of its representative. And the majority of the bishops were from Cameroon. We didn't spend much. We spent much on the preparation, but not on the bishops.
How much did the Catholic Church financially disburse?
Really, I don't know the amount of money that was spent, but I know that we had to contribute. Each diocese had to contribute some amount of money.
That must have been quite much.
Not so much. Douala, for example, which made the biggest contribution, was a bit more than 1 million. So we tried to cut expenses down as much as possible.
Was it enough, what you received from the different dioceses?
No, it wasn't enough. That is why, before the Pope comes to any country, he is invited by the head of state, by the state and the church. So everyone does his own part. And the state shouldered
a greater part of that responsibility.
The greater part of the expenses, like building the altar in the stadium, security measures, hotel bills for the Pope and his entourage. So those things were shouldered by redoing the nunciature. Those things, those expenses were shouldered by the government. The government has more means than the church, so it was normal.
Your Eminence, with your discussion with the Pope, did you by any chance mention the President of Cameroon, President Paul Biya?
Not at all. It's not my place to do that. I know very well he made the President our President, and he left the Cameroon with a very good impression of Cameroonians. I would say Cameroonians who didn't say anything particularly about the head of state, but his impression of Cameroonians, the impression Cameroonians gave him was a bit exaggerated. You know, he believes that Cameroonians are disciplined people, orderly. I wonder whether all of us will agree to that, but that was his impression.
Did his presence in Cameroon change your perception?
No, not at all. I know the Cameroon more than the Pope knows the Cameroon, yes.
Your Eminence, as the highest moral and spiritual authority of the Catholic Church in Cameroon, what kind of relationship do you entertain with the President?
With the President of the Republic? No, there's no particular relationship with the President. My relationship with the President is ordinary, like any other citizen.
Wide apart?
Well, formerly he used to invite me. He invited me once or twice to, if we could talk together at the presidency, which I did. I told the President what I think. He told me what he thought.
Can you tell us what it was all about, and maybe the last time you happened to talk to him face to face?
About it, I don't remember when, but it was confidential. And it remains confidential. I don't like talking in public, to the public, about what I discuss with the head of state.
Has that relationship...
But I told him what I think about the country, about the people he appoints.
Can that relationship be described as a cordial or strained?
No, not strained at all. In fact, I don't think I have any strained relationship with anybody. I've never had that, really. But when I want to say what I think I should say, I say it frankly as my own opinion. I do not try to force it into the truth or into the thinking pattern of any person now.
Your Eminence, in an interview with the Catholic News Service in 2004, you said it was the duty of the Catholic Church to denounce the dishonesty of some government officials, since the Church has the responsibility to educate people about honesty. Has the Church effectively carried out this obligation?
I think so. We have produced even a whole book on declarations from 1950 to this date. It's a big book which I will advise students of sociology to get. If they want to know about anything about the social teaching of the Catholic Church, to get that book. The putting together of what the bishops have said so far concerning the social life of our country from 1950 to today. So we published that, and we think that it is a duty on our part to not to just look at things happening. And from time immemorial, the Catholic Church has no other weapons than the Word of God and her teaching.
You know, can we have some excerpts or some examples of what the Catholic Church has denounced so far on the dishonesty of some citizens?
For example, you know, on the economic crisis, in 1990, when I was still there, when I was the president of the conference, we brought out, you know, what we thought about the economic crisis, its causes, internal and external. It's true, so we were attacked at the national television for what we said, but we do not regret what we said. And quite a number of other cases, you know. For example, also the separation of powers. In 1993, we were clear on that all the powers, the three powers, should be separated. The legislative should be independent, the judiciary independent, and the executive independent, you know, each doing its own function. But we get the impression that the executive assumes all the powers. So in 1993, we had to make a declaration on that. And also we proposed in 1993 that we think that as far as possible, a neutral body should organize the elections in this country. That we did. We didn't give it any name, but a neutral body, because the people no longer had confidence in the Ministry of Territorial Administration. So for elections to go on well, we thought...
Don't you think that the Catholic Church is being too nosy in political matters concerning the country?
We are not involved enough. We are not involved. In my own judgment, we are not involved enough.
How enough is the Catholic Church supposed to be involved then?
That is to be the watchdog, so to say, of what is happening. There are many things happening on which the Catholic Church should speak. We're not speaking enough like many other countries, like many other conferences in Africa. Take, for example, the prison situation. Go there and see how human beings are treated, how they live. Whatever the fault of anybody, whatever his crimes, his dignity as a human person remains. We studied once to study the prison situation in Cameroon. We stopped the study. I don't know why till today. So there are quite a number of things on which we should speak that we are not speaking, on which we're not speaking. The situation of government hospitals, the university without libraries that are worth the pain. The Catholic Church started the first universities in the world in the 13th century. The Sorbonne was a Catholic university. Oxford was a Catholic university. Bologna, those universities of the 13th century. So we have been involved in those, and we know how they should be run. So the church is very, very involved in society. We are in the society. We are of the society, even though we do not belong to the society. We are citizens of this country. As I keep saying, I was born a Cameroonian. I became a Christian. So I have a right to say what I think is not going on well. In my judgment and in my age, I am one of the elders in this country. Not that I'm pretending to be one, but I am physically one. There are few in this country that are of my age. So we speak, but in my own judgment, we do not speak clearly enough.
Your Eminence, as someone described as the voice of the voiceless and the defenseless, don't you think that your disconnection with the president of Cameroon somehow impacts negatively in the life of some Cameroonians?
No, the president of Cameroon should be happy that we are able to bring out some of our faults, because the faults of Cameroonians are not his faults. We shouldn't talk as if everything should be bumped on the president. It's a whole nation. The president is not the nation. So at times we criticize the behavior, our behavior, like corruption. We have brought out declarations several times on corruption. We have organized seminars in schools to fight against corruption. It's not the president. I don't know whether he is corrupt. I have no proofs to that. But we know that there's corruption, which has become practically a culture. It's become part of our culture in the sense that when you do something for nothing to a Cameroonian, he suspects you. He wonders why you did it for nothing without asking for something as a remuneration for what you did to him. That is where we are, a mentality where corruption is accepted as a normal thing to do.
In the next 5 months, you will be retiring as the Bishop of the Archdiocese of Douala.
Exactly.
Do you intend to ask for an audience with President Biya, maybe before you retire, if at all he doesn't invite you to the presidency?
I don't see any reason for asking for audience. I used to ask for the audience when I had something to discuss with the president. But at this moment, I don't see why I should ask for audience. Of course, if the president invites me, I would surely go. There's no doubt about that.
What will you talk about?
When he invites me.
If you receive the invitation.
If he invites me, I would think about what we would talk about. In case I met him, what I would say to him. But until the invitation is there, I don't worry myself about what I would tell the president. Of course, I can always say, if I were the president, this is what I would do. But I am not the president, so.
Your Eminence, this might not be the kind of question you're expecting, but permit me ask you this very curious question. Are you on good terms with the Bishop of Yaoundé, Monseigneur Tony Bakot, who also doubles as the president of the Episcopal Conference of Cameroon?
I can knock at his door in Yaoundé and go in when I want, and when he comes, he can just knock at my door and come in. No problem at all. We might differ.
In what? What kind of opinion? Is the Catholic Church not expected to be one?
The way he sees the political evolution of the country, I may see it otherwise. But on doctrine, social or doctrinal teaching of the Catholic Church, there's no difference in Cameroon between one bishop and the other. There's no contradiction. But when it comes to expressing what is opinion, the opinion of somebody, that is opinion is an idea you hold with the fear that the other person could be right.
He appears not to have sided with you for the match you had on the ratification of the Maputo Protocol.
That is his freedom. But it's not for the Maputo Declaration. That's what people confuse. They draw the conclusion. And he was not against the march in Douala. Not at all. He was against those who were organizing the march, I don't know where, in the name of the Catholic Church. You cannot do that in the name of the Catholic Church in Cameroon without the conference. As far as I know, that's what the Archbishop said. Because before we marched in Douala, we had spoken about it in the Bishops' Conference and sent a letter, a declaration to the head of state, which should have been sent in April because the letter to the head of state was written in April before he ratified it. The Maputo declaration. And so correspondence, something went wrong somewhere. So he couldn't get the letter before he ratified it. We wanted him to get our letter, which was written in Kribi, where we were in April, where we were on retreat, and we thought this was urgent. So we wrote the letter, and in the secretariat, something went wrong somewhere.
Given that you may not share the same views, so you think it is right for him to have congratulated the president for the legislative elections on July 22, and you condemned it, saying that the elections were being rigged?
No, I say that from the information I have in Douala. The elections did not go on well in Douala. Because I don't know what happened somewhere else. Before speaking, I had already the report of the Catholic Church observers of the election in Douala. So I really spoke on Douala, not on the whole country, because I had not the information. Those who were competent to do that were the lay representative on justice and peace in Yaoundé. And they did, they put out a document. But I was not, I couldn't be speaking for the whole country. I spoke of Douala. Because when RFE interviewed me, I said, according to the report I have before me from Douala, the elections were a sham.
Your Eminence, in your life as a priest or a prelate, have you ever nursed any political ambition?
Surely not. No, that's a joke.
Especially as you're retiring now.
Well, I'm 10 and an old man. It's not at this age that one nurtures another ambition. My ambition, in fact, was to become a priest. You know, in the Catholic Church, to become a priest, you have to ask to be accepted to become a priest. Every candidate has to put in writing that he desires to become a priest. And the bishop examines, and with all the reports during your formation days, he examines all the reports, and if they are good, you are admitted. From then on, you do not apply for anything. You are surprised with the appointment of as a bishop. I never thought I would be a bishop. Not to think of becoming a cardinal. There were other bishops which I thought more competent and more worthy to become cardinals than myself. I was not the the more competent, or the oldest bishop and more competent bishop in Cameroon. I don't know why John Paul II appointed me Cardinal. I was on pastoral visit at the Nigeria frontier, somewhere there in the Duayo country, in Garwa diocese, when I was told, a journalist followed me right to there. A priest told me there that, you have been appointed Cardinal. Since they were always joking, telling me, a priest told me, in fact, 8 years before I was appointed Cardinal, that I would be the first Cardinal in Cameroon. That was 8 years before I was appointed. So I thought it's the joke they're always joking about, my cardinalate. But then he told me, listen to the radio. We listened to the radio, and lo and behold, it was announced in the CRTV, you know. That's how I heard.
What if you happen to have the same prophecy, you know, by this time being the chosen one, you know, in the sense that chosen to be the presidential candidate, chosen to be the president of Cameroon, are you going to turn it down?
Who would choose me to be the president? There's no authority to do that in Cameroon. In the Catholic Church, we have the Pope. And in the state...
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, of course. Look, it is not excluded. It is not absolutely excluded for a priest or a bishop to be involved in a political situation in his country. The law of the church says that he can do that, but with the authority of his superior, and my superior is the Holy Father. And he cannot do that unless I ask for it, and I've never asked for it.
If it's recommended by the Pope?
He can recommend, but the yes will depend on me.
Which means that you can still decide not to be, even if he recommends.
Exact. Because I believe that there are lay men and women competent in Cameroon who can head the country. You know, the only thing we want, we desire to be done, is to make electoral laws so well that any Cameroonian can propose to Cameroonians his philosophy of life, what he would like to be seen done in Cameroon. They are competent lay people. The church used to be involved in politics actively when the laity was not as well formed as today. You know, the highly educated men in the church were priests, because in Africa, for example, most of our early politicians went to mission schools. In the Congo, for example, most of the head of state, most of the leading politicians there were ex-seminarians. First of all, because there was no university there until independence, and the education in the major seminaries really of university level. So, you know, so when people were looking for somebody who could do something, like in Cameroon, the eye-openers of villages were teachers. But the times has evolved. Their children, their children's children have gone higher in education, and they can handle what their grandparents were handling with more competence. We believe, the church believes, that there are lay people in Cameroon who can be competent, who can rule, who can govern. Yes.
Now that you have publicly, you know, disengaged yourself from politics, do you have any preferred presidential candidate for 2011?
Not at all. I have no preference. All we say is that the things should be so well done that any Cameroonian can present his candidature and leave the people to choose. Of course, if candidates presented themselves, I will make my personal evaluation of each of them and vote accordingly, because I still have the right to vote.
Your Eminence, you happen to be one of those rare, you know, religious leaders that has hardly ever been criticized. That's criticized negatively, I mean. Does this mean that you're a saint?
No, I've been criticized.
Negatively?
Negatively. In Cameroon, especially in Cameroon, I've been criticized. But when somebody criticizes me, in fact, I examine my conscience.
What is a negative criticism you got from people, from Cameroonians?
Oh, well, yeah, if you read, I can't remember all of them because I don't attach my importance to criticisms.
What are the few that come to mind?
For example, a newspaper criticized me and said, I only give 35,000 to a priest in Cameroon.
Don't you think that's small? with the high standard of living, you know, with the economic crisis.
Yeah, that's why I called the director of publication of the newspaper. I said, "What did you mean? Who told you that?" He said, "My entourage." Then if it's any priest who told you that, he is a blatant liar. You know, 35,000 in this diocese for a priest is his pocket allowance. His kitchen is paid. He 50,000. He receives 25 or 30,000 for his taxi if he has no car. He is insured and he can even be evacuated to any part of the world if he's sick, because we have an insurance which the diocese pays, to which the diocese pays 200,000 every year per priest. He doesn't pay electricity in where he's staying. His cook is paid by the parish.
With 35,000, he turns out to be very comfortable then.
Yes, of course. So I asked him, "Do you end the month with 35,000 in your pocket?" He was honest to say no. When we say pocket allowance, we mean pocket allowance. If you give me pocket allowance 35, at the end of the month, it might still be in my pocket. Of course, we were told in the seminary the bishop would give us pocket allowance in order to give us an occasion to help the poor. The priest is not counted amongst the poor people in the country. If they're in our country where there is economic crisis, if there is any citizen that is sure of his 3 meals every day, it is us, the priests. Our Christians care very well for us.
You've been a priest for 43 years and a bishop since 1979, a cardinal for 23 years. In January, you will retire and you will be referred to as the Bishop Emeritus. But with all this, the Archdiocese of Douala is not left as an orphan. We have the coadjutor, Monseigneur Samuel Clayton.
And I asked for a coadjutor archbishop who would begin to understudy me and to take over.
Was that your choice or the Vatican's?
No, not choice. I asked for.
I know, but was that your choice or the Vatican?
I did not choose the candidate. I asked for.
You didn't press any buttons for him to be?
No. Well, in fact...
The Bishop of Douala, the coadjutor, did you?
No, this is the procedure.
Given that he's your spiritual son, you know.
This is the procedure. They called him my spiritual son. I don't know what they mean by that. When I went to Yagua, he was already a seminarian. He was studying in Colbison. He was in second year philosophy. When he finished philosophy, I was the one who sent him to Rome because I saw in him a brilliant young man who could do, religious studies. So he specialized in the scriptures. He has a licentiate in the scriptures, and there are only 2 bishops in this country that have a licentiate in scripture. It's just himself and the Archbishop of Bamenda. Others may have even a doctorate in biblical theology, which is not the same as a licentiate. So I sent him. I opened the way for him to go for further studies. I didn't even think 1 minute that he would succeed me in Yagua, not to talk of Douala.
So it's just a mere coincidence, you say?
No, I was going to tell you the procedure. You know, the 3 candidates are always chosen to send to the Holy Father. Said we think a candidate for any see at all, for any bishop at all.
Who were the 3 candidates for Douala?
No, it's a pontifical secret. You never said that either before or after. But we can say today that he was among the 3.
Since he's known.
Exactly. You can draw the conclusion that he was among the 3. Then inquiry is set up. They consult some lay people like you, consult priests, bishops, and then the Holy Father draws the conclusion because everything is sent to the Holy See.
Why were the other 2 disqualified?
I don't know. I'm telling you that it is a pontifical secret. That is, when you are consulted, you are told to know that this is a pontifical secret. That is to say, if you make your intentions known outside, you commit a mortal sin for a pontifical secret. You know, some have done that ignorantly, but it is a pontifical secret. because it can have some negative influence on the people, on the candidate. You know that he might be ruminating why he was not. So nobody knows.
So he was just the best candidate to manage the affairs of this?
Well, the judgment of the Holy Father is that in the present circumstances, he is the person whom they think should succeed me in Douala. My opinion was asked.
And you gave a positive one?
I gave my opinion. His pros and cons. Everyone has his pros and cons. Yes. And he's doing very well, very well.
I was just about getting to that. What appraisal can you make of his stay here in the Archdiocese of Douala for the past 1 year?
What is difficult, I give it to him. What is simple, that's what I'm doing. What is easy to do, I do it since he has been here. And what is difficult to do, I hand it over to him. That's what he's the one. He has been presiding, you know, the printing press, the Cameroon, all that is printed in Macacos. I resigned from being the president of Conseil d'Administration. He took over immediately, and is doing it very well and better than I did it even. He follows everything up, and he is doing the opening of our new parishes. He has been to Manoka twice. I've never been to there, where we're opening a new parish right in the sea, in the islands.
So is he meeting up to the challenges? You trust that he's going to maintain the standards you built?
Oh yes, I did, even not better.
According to some sources, you know, filtering from the Archdiocese of Douala, it appears he's too strict to a fault, you know, an attitude which you greatly admire in him instead.
Yes, he's strict, that's true. To a fault.
That's what some Catholic Christians
And I think it's better that way than to be lenient to a fault. Choose between the two. Strict to a fault.
No, it's not a comparison we're making here.
Yes.
It is not at all.
You know, the thing is this.
Is it right to be strict to a fault?
Where is he strict? You have to, you know, he is very, very strict with transparent administration. Stricter than myself. Even my entourage in the financial administration department, they know that. They know that, and I like that. That's what he's very. He was as a young priest. He was director of a minor seminary in Garwa when I was still in Garwa. He was one building who continued to build. I started building the minor seminary, but he continued. And the accountant at the time, a priest who came from Bafsam to help us, told me that each time he gave him money to do the bill, he would render an account to the last franc before asking for another sum of money to continue. For that, he has not hurt anywhere in Cameroon, like me. For that is what belongs to the church belongs to the church, not to him. That's a principle we should all imitate. But if we are administering for a group, we have to be careful. You don't use money that belongs to the common good as if it were your personal money. The money that is administering here, and that he will be administering, and he has started administering, he is conscious that that money belongs to the Archdiocese of Douala, not to the Archbishop of Douala. And that the Archbishop cannot use it as he likes. So we have financial controllers and somebody attached to the young man who is still a student attached to the financial controller to make sure that everything in parishes, schools, and hospitals and dispensaries are well administered.
Your Eminence, Monsignor Samuel Clader has been the Bishop of Baturi. Don't you think that his experience and savvy in this diocese can be challenged here in the economic capital, Douala?
Oh yes, Douala is not Baturi. That's true. He himself is aware of that. He has told me that there's too much work in Douala to be done. Even the people who come to see the Archbishop of Douala. I've never had it anywhere. This is my third diocese. I was Bishop of Yagwa, Bishop of Garwa, and here I am. He was Bishop of Baturi. He said there's no comparison. So people come, times in the night even, to see the bishop. They want to see, they think the bishop is the solution to that problem. Even the fact that he just listens to him. And he listens to them. That's one thing I think in Douala we have to know, that one of the pastoral activities is to have time to listen to people. Some are just happy that somebody listened to them, even if you have nothing to give them, you know. So he is very conscious that this is not Baturi or Yagwa, his diocese of origin. He was never a bishop of Yagwa, but his diocese of origin. He's very conscious of that.
In a couple of months, you will be retiring. You know, what is the feeling? How do you feel about this retirement coming in January?
A feeling of joy, you know. I'm waiting for it with anxiety. Not the anxiety in the sense that I'm worried now. That is with a peace of mind. That because I have my weaknesses, I don't publish them. The Lord knows them. So, you know, where the church has sent me, I try to do my best. When I was sent to Yagwa, I didn't think I would leave Yagwa. I did my best in Yagwa. I was sent to Garwa. I think I worked with all my might. And with the people I find there, nobody follows me from anywhere to anywhere. When I went to Yagwa, I went alone. I did not bring somebody from the English-speaking part of the country to work with me. I believe that I have to identify myself to the people to whom I am sent. When I went to Garwa, I worked with the people I met in Garwa. In Douala, I worked with the people I found in Douala, the Christian community. I have to identify myself. I don't go looking for somebody to come from somewhere. No. That is, all my brothers and sisters are the faithful people to where I'm sent. And I've always felt happy where I am sent.
What is it you're going to miss, you know, being a prelate?
I think I'm not going to... I think what I'm going to miss is constant contact with priest and the laity. Even with the laity and priest, it will not be so, because I still, except I'm sick, I think the bishop will still invite me to help him in something, to do something, administer sacraments here and there. So when I look at it, I've never thought of that. I don't see what I will be missing. I see rather what I will gain. That I will sleep and get up when I want. That I will have no pastoral program except the pastoral program that my bishop would propose to me.
Now that you're not going to be on the spotlight, you know, what last advice would you like to give to Catholic Christians or maybe Cameroonians in general?
To support my successor with all their might as they did with me. Because I'm sure many have told me this is the man we think the Lord has sent to us. And in fact, before his appointment, a lady comes to me on the eve. I had already his appointment in my pocket to be announced the following day. A woman comes to me there in our dining room and tells me she has looked at the calendar of the bishops. She has looked at the calendar of the bishops, possible successors, your possible successors. And she told me the eve that he thinks it is this one, Samuel Kleda. And the following day, I proclaimed Samuel Kleda. You need to have been there. You should have been there. The crowd went wild. They knew him very little. Of course, he had come here to ask for financial support from time to time when he was in Baturi. But I think the people are happy that he is the person. He may have his weaknesses like any of us, but on the whole, the people, I think, welcome him. You need to have seen his welcome on the, I think it was on the 11th of January. of this year, of like 2 years ago. I mean, the crowd, we have never had such welcome. Mine, I thought I entered Douala by the back door, you know, at the time. But from the bridge, the Bamba Bridge, right, there was no place here. On the day we estimated the crowd that was here was about 10,000 people strong.
Your Eminence, thank you very much. It has been very stimulating talking to you on Straight Talk.
God bless you.
That was Your Eminence, Christian Cardinal Tumi, the Archbishop of the Diocese of Douala, who will be retiring in January. If you enjoyed every minute of this conversation, join us next week again for another edition. Goodbye.
No, the president of Cameroon should be happy that we're able to bring out some of our faults.
Are you on good terms with the Bishop of Yaoundé?
We might differ. The way he sees the political evolution of the country, I may see it otherwise.
Monseigneur Samuel Cléder, was that your choice or the Vatican's?
No, not choice. I asked for.
I know, but was that your choice or the Vatican?
I did not choose the candidate. I asked for.
Barrister, permit me say that you have condemned the ideas of the Ministry of Justice on the creation of a law school and the splitting of the Cameroon Bar Association.
I haven't condemned the idea of the creation of a law school.
Can Abesolo remain hopeful that he'll get out of jail?
Yes. I mean, you must hope. If he didn't hope, he would not go on appeal. Abesolo went on appeal to the Supreme Court.